definition of bad.
Jesus.
I'm gonna. This is why we could have cleared up the semantics, but you're so fucking stupid. Now you're gonna be at the mercy of them, deliberately hurting deliberately hurting the economy.
The definition of bad all fucking day.
Yeah.
This is such
Sorry. You can be as mad as you want, bro, but it's not going to make you win. Yes, it should be avoided, you say. Yes, when it will have a negative outcome. Negative outcomes should be avoided when we can. You say that it's not.
Nice. So this is where he pulls out the notes, the things that he written down, and this is where he throws it back in his face.
Why can't you avoid it?
Because I don't run Congress.
Okay, well then I guess
he has to change
I guess we can't
He has
give
to
the
move the
legal
goalpost.
social security numbers then, because you don't run Congress, right? But if I say like murder is bad, I'm saying that that's an immoral thing, right? You would agree with me on that?
Sure, whatever. Whatever.
Okay, that makes sense to me. So
Right.
when you say that contracting necessarily 3% of the GDP is bad, do you mean as in I'm having a bad day, or as in this is going to be immoral because the outcomes for people's not going to work out very well?
Neither. You just said it. You left out one. Like if I make less money, that's bad. But that's not really moral. That's
like bad is in a bad day.
Sure, it's bad for my finances. Sure.
Okay, so then all you mean by bad here is the same as you would.
You
mean
said
with...
bad. You said bad. I said okay.
No, I asked
you. I said I think the math is bad.
Yeah, so then I didn't say bad.
Yeah, but it could be tied to morality, because why is it bad? Like he's like, well, I'm making less money, therefore bad. Yeah, okay. Well, okay. So if let's say we hired children, we had child labor, right, and then we fired them all, right, because of laws and stuff, and we made less money because we did that. Well, would that still be bad or good? Like, just because you make less money doesn't mean it's bad morally. So that's why it's important that Andrew's trying to dive into that. Because what do you mean it's bad? Like, so we could hire like child labor, but as long as we're making more money, then it's good?
You said bad, right?
I was responding to you saying, but that's fine.
Semantics. Yeah, so when you say, well, hang on, semantics are super important for a debate. And that's why I'm trying to get these things clarified. You may
no,
not
I think I would like to talk about the. I think what you're trying to do is drag this into a moral argument, because I don't think you have numbers to back up anything.
I'm just starting.
That's why my argument specifically didn't talk about morals, Andrew. I talked about actual data. I'm looking at the economic impact of these people, and you want to talk to me about morals. I'm not interested in that conversation.
Well, can I try to explain to you and give you an expression of why this is so silly to me? If the economic data that you want backed up, even if I were to grant that you're completely correct, but you say it's not a moral proposition, why the fuck should I even care?
You don't have to care.
Why should anybody care?
You don't have to care.
No,
I'm not asking. We showed up for a debate. I gave the prompt: Trump deportations do more harm than good. I didn't sign up to debate.
Is harm okay? Is harm bad?
In this case, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay, so harm is immoral.
I don't care about morals, dude. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want to do here.
I don't care about morals. Well, at least he's honest. That's pretty telling. Yes, I want my cheap Mexican labor, and fuck the morals. As long as there's more money in our country's pocket, then let's keep our cheap Mexican labor. Morals be damned.
Just trying to figure out what you mean by bad.
No, what you're trying to do is drag me into a moral argument, because
I'm just trying to figure out what you mean by bad.
Your position is based on your morals. My position is based on math, which is why I don't have like this universal look. A lot of the things that you accuse me of, you're like, here's what people on the left do. You thought I was going to be against birthright citizenship. You think I'm against deportations. You think that I am pro illegal immigration. I'm not pro any of those things. It seems like you didn't listen to a word I said in my opening statement and just decided from the get-go that you were going to have a moral discussion here.
No, I went down each point that you made and gave a refutation in my own intro.
No, you missed most of them.
When you're discussing this, though, listen, it's not a gotcha. I'm not even looking for the moral discussion. Okay. All I'm looking for right now is to clear up semantics so that we understand we're not speaking past each other. If you're just coming in to say, oh, the numbers look good on our side, great. Who cares? That's not what the argument is about. The argument's about whether it does more harm than good. So when we say things like a harm principle or a good principle, right? If you're neutral on the fact that if there's economic output, which is problematic, I win the debate by default because you haven't demonstrated there's any harm, because harm's not bad. Or if you say good, when you say good, I assume that you mean that this is something which is positive, the opposite of harm. And so that's a more moral proposition. So either of those things, more harm, when you say harm and good, do you mean moral, immoral? If you mean something else by harm or good, then I want to get those semantics cleared up so we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I cleared that. This is like the 5th time I've cleared it up. Right? Economically, it's bad for our country. I think it does harm to our economy.
Bad meaning what?
Bad meaning the numbers are negative.
Yeah, but that doesn't tell me anything. So anytime
What
numbers
else do you want me to tell you?
Is anytime numbers are negative, is that bad?
No, negative numbers.
Okay,
right.
right.
Like in golf.
Sure. So then negative numbers don't just mean bad. So when you say
case,
bad,
in this case, it's
what makes that bad though?
Because there's less money circulating through our economy.
Yeah, but that's just giving me one step further in the descriptor, not telling me what bad actually means.
I'm not interested in a semantic debate about what bad means, Andrew.
It's
I'm here
not
to debate
a semantic debate. It's clarifying what you mean by the thing.
You're talking about the harm principle. You're setting parameters on this debate.
What's the debate
so that we can.
What's the debate topic?
Not what is the harm principle? There's lots of definitions.
What
to harm.
is the debate topic? Just tell me what the debate topic is.
Deportations do more harm than good.
Is it appropriate for me to ask you what harm and good mean when the debate prompt is specifically alluding to both of those things?
Yeah, I think that it's not the harm principle, though. You can use the word harm in many different ways.
And those are the ways I'm trying to get you to.
And I'm saying that this is a way that it is deliberately inflicted on our economy. Deliberately inflicted.
Yeah, but he doesn't get it. Like, why is that bad? So why is our GDP going down? Well, why is that bad? Again, if we were like if we were using a bunch of cheap labor, even just slave labor, let's say we forced a group of people to just work for free, right? And then all of a sudden, we laws came about and we had put an end to it. Yes, that would harm the GDP, right? We would be making less money. But is that a bad thing if it means there's no more slave labor? So this dude right here, he's trying to weasel a lot of it and worm out of it. But Andrew's asking legitimate questions here. And I'm glad that he's making him stick to it. And this is actually a really genius move that Andrew went down this line.
Okay,
that is the definition of harm.
Yeah. So, do you realize like immediately the problem that you have here?
No.
So, well, I'll explain it to you.
Thank you.
So when you say this has nothing to do with some principle or anything like that. When you say more harm than good, you're saying that there's a negative there, and the negative outcome, I would guess, is the harm, right?
Yeah. Well, in this case, I think that we are deliberately inflicting damage to our economy, and the outcome of that is a less stable economy.
And that's bad.
Yeah, sure.
So that would be immoral.
Great. It's immoral.
Okay, so it's immoral. So when you say harm in this case, you're saying this thing is immoral.
I'm not saying any of that. You are. If we whatever we have to do to move on from this shit, that would be great.
I just need you to not equivocate.
I know it's frustrating because you want to have a moral debate.
No.
I would like you to outline anything I said, and we can discuss whether it's good or bad.
Okay, I'll explain this to you so that you understand. Pull up the equivocation fallacy for me and read.
No.
Okay, do you need me to
pull up the definition of harm?
Yeah, I'll pull up the definition of harm.
Okay.
No.
There's going to be a multitude of definitions, but I'll give you...
So why are you picking harm principle instead of one of the definitions I'm using of harm? It's my claim. Yeah. It's me telling you what my claim means.
I know what your claim is, but your claim has to have meaning to me. So the thing is I'm going to pull up, I'll pull up your definition or all definitions of harm. You can pick one. I'm fine with that.
Sure. I just did. I told you it was deliberately inflicted destruction of our economy.
So that you understand the equivocation fallacy, I'll read it for you verbatim. These aren't even gotchas. It's not even trickery. I'm just trying to get the semantics out of the way so we can get to the debate. Equivocation is the use of ambiguous language to conceal the truth or avoid committing to a specific stance. That's what equivocation is. It involves using words or phrases with multiple meanings in a way that can mislead the listener or the reader. So the reason
I just told you what the meaning was. I just told you three times what my meaning was.
Can you just chill out?
Just chill out. But this is silly.
It's not silly. It's just that you're not used to actually having to commit to your stance. So equivocation is the use of...
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's not used to actually explain, well, why is it bad? And think more about it. He might think, well, this is just silly. These lefties, they just want to preach their point of view and that's it. And they don't want to be asked to think about it. They don't want to be asked anything deeper. They just want to preach, this is bad.
Ambiguous language to conceal the truth or avoid committing to a specific stance. I'm saying that you're guilty right now of using an equivocation fallacy in your arguments because you won't make such a firm stance on what harm means.
I disagree.
Okay, then what does harm mean?
Deliberately inflicted destruction to our economy.
Okay,
That's what harm
that's
means.
all harm means.
In this case, that's what it means. Harm can mean different things at different times, but
So
right now I'm
just-
explaining how I'm using the word.
Okay, and if you're deliberately hurting the economy, should that be avoided?
In my opinion, yeah.
Okay, in your opinion, yes, it should be avoided.
Yeah.
Is that because it's going to have negative outcomes on people?
Yes.
Okay, yes, it will have negative outcomes. Yes, it will have negative outcomes.
I have a feeling that he's gonna regret answering the way. And what I like is Andrew writes it down, so he can't wiggle his way out of this. And I have a feeling that he's gonna regret answering this way as the debate goes on.
And are negative outcomes a thing which we should avoid?
I think when we can, sure.
Okay, negative outcomes should be avoided. So, negative outcomes avoided. So, to summarize your position on harm, deliberately hurting the economy should be avoided because it will have negative outcomes. Negative outcomes should be avoided. So,
When we can.
when okay, I'll even add that just to be super charitable when we can. So, does that mean that if we're not avoiding negative outcomes when we can, that's bad?
Sure.
Okay. So it's bad not to do that. It's bad not to do that. When I say bad here, do we mean that this is immoral? In other words, is it immoral to deliberately hurt the economy? Because that should be avoided because it'll have negative outcomes, and negative outcomes should be avoided when we can.
I don't know that it has anything to do with morals.
You don't know that it has anything to do with morals? I'm sorry. So it's not a moral proposition to say that we ought to avoid X thing.
I keep telling you, none of
bad.
these are moral propositions.
They're all moral propositions, every one of them.
They say this, these lefties will say this is not a moral thing, but they always come for it very emotional and from a moral stance. They always say it's not right that Trump is deporting these people. It is not right. They're the ones that tie morality into this. So he's totally full of shit when he says, well, I don't care about morals. Well, then what the fuck is this about then? What the hell is your concern? You know, if this impacts the economy, well, why is that bad?
How are they moral propositions?
Because when you say bad, you're making a moral entanglement there, and you're saying that because the outcome is negative.
That wasn't moral.
Should an outcome which is negative be avoided?
No, I think the problem that we have here, Andrew, is that you think that I'm going to extend my position on immigration across the board and that I'm always going to choose. And I think this is the problem with this debate. You think I'm always just going to choose to never do anything that has a negative outcome. I think in this instance, it's pretty easy to look at what's happening. It's pretty easy to say, where is the benefit? I don't know of any. You can maybe tell me what the benefits might be. I don't see any benefits to mass immigration, especially when there's sensible solutions like granting amnesty to people who are here, whose only crime is being here illegally, who have been working for decades. I think that there are legitimate solutions, and it feels like you want to have a moral, philosophical discussion instead.
See, so why this guy irritates me is that seeing his debate with Steven, he made it about, oh, it's just that you guys don't like brown people, which, I mean, again, he's tying morality into this. He's like trying like racism and stuff into it. That's the only reason why we want these people out here, because we just don't like brown people. Big brain take there, be smart. And so he's like one of these people that, like, bottom line is, this is all about Trump Derangement Syndrome. Like, this guy has TDS. I think later on in this debate or in the after panel or something, like, he even said, like, he didn't hate the deportations when Biden did it. So, okay, so if you had no problem when Biden did it, but you have a problem when Trump did it, well, then what else is this then? It's just about, oh, my orange man bad.
What you're making there is a moral claim that the thing should be avoided because it has a negative impact on X group. Therefore, how do you get around the fact that that's a moral claim exactly?
I think that there's very few things that happen inside of a country where there is a government where no matter what side you take, there is going to be a negative outcome to somebody. Right. So I'm looking at what do I think affects the greater
so
good.
then I would just counter and say I can even agree that any type of policy you have will have some disaffected people from that policy, whether they're the rich or the middle.
Good to see
but
ya.
you would just say that that's a moral entanglement, that it was moral entailment, that if the rich suffer so that, 10,000 poor people get their meals, you would just say that that's a moral trade-off, right? But these are all moral so these are all moral propositions. So I'm just trying to get to the heart of what good and bad. In this case, more harm than good. We're trying to figure out what the good is from your view. What is the good? Is the good GDP? Is that what the moral proposition is? More GDP good? Is the good social cohesion? What is the good?
Do you want me to read the whole opening statement again?
If you can read in the opening statement what the good is.
Yeah. So it protects us from GDP growth.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. The morality is a word that the left redefined, because it's like a lot of the left are secular, they're atheists and stuff. So pretty much it's whatever feels good at the time. All of a sudden Christianity is immoral now, All of a sudden you talk to these lunatics and it's like, oh, God evil, God terrible. But yeah, it's all by whose standards? By their standards.
It keeps wages at least stationary. There's $300 billion or so in spending power that is immediately taken away. If you get rid of all those people, you're going to lose, especially in rural communities that require migrant labor, both legal and illegal. That's drying up now. So I live in Arizona. Down in Yuma, Arizona, they're having a hard time finding even legal laborers who used to come here because they're afraid.
Oh man, no wonder this guy's brain is fried. He lives in Arizona. Again, I just came from Arizona. It's fucking hot as hell. This guy's brain is literally probably fried, and that's why he thinks this way.
Yeah, I think it hurts farmers, and I think that pushes us more towards factory farming, which I think is a problem for all Americans. I think it's a problem for all of our food supply to have that fall into the hands of factory farmers.
Sure. So you're giving me descriptors of things which you consider to be problematic, but you haven't actually told me what the good is that we're supposed to be going for here. What's the good? What does good mean here?
What is the good?
Yeah, because more harm than good. So now we've determined that harm is deliberately hurting the economy, I guess for this specific instance, and that should be avoided. And yes, it'll have a negative outcome, which is why it should be avoided. Negative outcomes should be avoided when we can, and it's bad to do that. That's your claim on harm. I'm just trying to figure out what's your claim on good. What is the good?
Well, I don't think it's doing any good. I don't think these deportations are doing any good.
Well, that's just evading what the question is. What is the good?
How would I tell you what the good is if I don't think it's doing any good?
Because the proposition here, just wait a second. This is bizarre to me that you would state that you don't think a thing is doing any good, but won't tell me what the good is.
Well, I don't know what that. I don't know.
You don't know what that means?
No, I don't know what.
I don't know what good means.
I don't even know what their intention is.
So you don't know what good is. You don't know what bad is. You don't know what harm is.
How would I tell you what the good is if I don't think it's doing any good?
I don't know. The proposition is good or harm. So I don't know what debate you're prepared for, but it was, does it do more harm than good? So tell me, sir, what the fuck is the good?
I don't think there is any good.
You don't think there is any good. So,
no.
So
that doesn't even make any sense. So he says himself, he's not against deportations. Oh, okay. But then he says, but there is no good. Well, then are you against deportations then? Like what? Make up your damn mind. These lefties, like they're all full of shit.
It's just, does it do more harm than nothing?
Yeah, well, I think that wait, why does it have to? Why can't it be? Why does it have to be good here? Why does it?
Because you just said there is no. Because that's the proposition. Does it do more harm than good? And your response is there is no good.
It can do zero good.
So, okay, but what's the prompt? What's the prompt?
Fuck. Are we gonna do this all? Are we gonna do semantics all
until we get the semantics clear? Yes,
dude. These lefties, they always cope like that. They always bitch and whine about Andrew, like he always gets into the semantics. He uses all these hypotheticals. But it's because their beliefs, their worldview makes no sense. So what Andrew's doing is like picking it apart and getting deep in there, and it reveals like they don't really know what the fuck they're talking about. Like they've never had a deep thought. They've never really thought about why they believe these things. You've just been told to believe these things. You know, this is bad. Well, why is it bad? Because Trump's doing it. And you know, Trump, he's evil. He's racist. He's a bigot. He's sexist. He's all of the things. He's all of the bad things. So if Trump is doing it, well, then it's bad. Oh, okay. Duh. All right. And then they go on, they spew all their nonsense. But that's why they get so like defensive and they don't know what's going on. They're like a deer in the headlights when Andrew asks these questions because they never thought deeply about any of this stuff.
Yeah, I don't care. Whatever.
Well, I'm glad you don't care, but I care.
This is
So,
so
what is the
fucking
good?
This is like the dumbest conversation.
You want
I've
me
ever had.
to meet you?
I want
you want
me
me
to talk
to?
about immigration and not what fucking words mean.
So then stop
you-
equivocating.
Yeah,
Stop
that's-
equivocating then.
Gentlemen,
Jesus
if I
Christ.
can maybe kind of pry in for a moment, maybe offer a thought process, RTP, in terms of the harm concept here. Like for instance, if you have a company and they're running a product and they have a recall on it, right? Because things are going bad. Like what they do to even think about what that recall would be, is it more money to pay out for lawsuits that are going to come our way, or is it kind of cheaper in essence to recall the item and replace all the stuff? And that comes through like the general harm of things.
So what would be the good there?
So the good would be people get their shit fixed, or people get payouts for.
Why is he asking the moderator? Why is he asking Sarah? So what would be the good there? Like, dude, this is pathetic.
For having, they get in a car accident because the brakes don't work, right?
Like even the moderator has to explain to him, well, this could be what's good to him. It's like he's having everyone explain everything to him.
So there are good pieces built in, but also there's the harm principle that's built in behind it, and it's the ethical standard in any like economical stance, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we might make more money, but ethically, are we good?
So what if the people don't get their car fixed or they don't get their money back? Then is there a good there?
How do if they don't know about it, or what?
The harm, right, was the destruction to their vehicle, right?
Right, that would be.
And if
inevitable
nobody
to
fixes
work
it,
harm.
if nobody fixes the vehicle or pays them damages, where's the good?
The good would be the company didn't lose any money.
Okay, so the good here is that Donald Trump gets
But
to
then is it
fulfill a
good?
Unless
campaign
that's
promise.
bad.
Is
Unless
it
that's
good,
bad.
though?
Okay, then
So-
Donald Trump gets to fulfill a campaign promise. There's my good then.
And so that's where I say, like, there are a lot of ethics to economical stances.
So that's what deporting all these people is to him. It's just Donald Trump completes a campaign promise. Oh, really? That's it? That's the only good thing about getting all these illegals out of here? Again, these people don't belong here. They're here illegally. Nowhere, where in anywhere else do we allow people to sneak in somewhere and then be like, well, they should be here because of this? Like, no, if you catch someone being somewhere where they don't belong, the natural response is to get them out of there. That's it. Like, obviously, there might be some exceptions, maybe, that I can't think of right now. There's always exceptions to rules. But for the most part, you're going to try to get these people out of there. That's it. But for some reason, when it comes to illegal immigrants, no, they all should stay here. And how dare Donald Trump try to kick them out?
And I think that's maybe what Andrew's trying to poke at.
And in this case, I'm not even attempting to do that. I'm not even attempting to get into the ethics. I'm just simply trying to make sure that we don't equivocate. Equivocation being the use of ambiguous language where you mean something by it, I don't mean. I mean something by it, you don't mean. Right now, I don't even know what you mean by these terms because the entire time you've been yelling at me that you don't want to clarify what any of them mean. And that to me is absurd. We're here to have a debate. I need to know exactly what you mean by the terms in the debate proposition, harm or good. Hang on. In this case, I'm simply asking you, now that we have literally a definition for what you consider harm to be, and I read it out to you, agreed to it multiple.
Yeah, I know, right? I got kicked out of the bar, and when I snuck back in, the bartender told me, oh, dang, you're right. Yeah, I know, right? Like nowhere does that happen. Only when it comes to immigrants do they argue for this.
Times. I'm just asking for the same standard for what good is.
So the good would be that Donald Trump gets to fulfill a campaign promise then.
Does that mean all
you're
good? So when you
Jesus
say
Christ, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know what you're laughing about. This is how you debate.
I'm laughing at this. I think this is ridiculous. Like I think this
you
is
can
crazy.
think it's ridiculous, and
I
you
would
can think
love
it's
to.
crazy.
I would love to at some point talk about immigration.
I would love to at some point get you to
All right.
clarify what you mean
So
by the
good
terms.
is to be desired or approved of. The desire in this case would be Donald Trump fulfilling a campaign promise. Now I've used the word good correctly and told you what I mean by it. I've used the word harm correctly and told you what we mean.
I mean, technically, that's not even like on itself. Like, if you want to go into this technicality, Trump fulfills a campaign promise. I mean, that still doesn't even say why it's good. That still doesn't answer how that's a good thing. You could always make an argument that not all campaign promises are good things. So even by that metric, this dude fails. But I guess we'll have to give him that because, again, this dude has never thought deeply about anything. So this is the best that he's probably going to get.
By it now, is it possible that we could talk about immigration?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that that we're clear on both these terms. And you agree to them. That harm is deliberately hurting the economy, and that should be avoided, and that it will have negative outcomes, and negative outcomes should be avoided when we can, and that's bad, and that's what you mean by harm, and that's what you mean by bad, and good to you just means to be desired or approved of.
Neat.
Is that right?
Sure, dude. Sure.
Okay. All right. Now we got that cleared up. So what's your question?
Cooked.
I didn't ask you a question. You were asking me questions. I don't have questions.
Oh, I see.
You haven't really made a position yet. You strawmanned my entire opening
I don't
monologue.
see how I could have strawmanned
you said that you brought up Social Security and that I would say that they're not stealing Social Security numbers. Of course, they're stealing Social Security numbers.
And is that to be desired? Is that to be desired or approved of?
No.
So it's not good.
No, that's why I want amnesty to get these people to pay in legally.
Oh, God, this dude. Yeah, that's why we should just give them amnesty. We should just give them Social Security numbers. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go. That guy that robbed the bank, stole everyone's money. We should just let him. We should just give him money. Then he wouldn't have to steal. Bada bing, bada boom. Problem solved.
So, okay, I see.
Yeah.
So the position here is that that's really bad. Then the economic argument in which you're making that there's millions of dollars going to the government, which they don't have to account for, actually is negated instantly, because what you really want to do is make sure that the local governments don't get that money anymore unaccounted for, right?
No, incorrect. Because of it's a small minority of people who are using a stolen Social Security number. Most people working illegally don't do it with a stolen Social Security number. So giving those people Social Security numbers would increase the amount they're paying into Social Security and Medicare.
Wait, back up for me.
Okay.
Most people who are paying into Social Security illegally are not using a Social Security number.
No. Most people working illegally are not using a Social Security number and therefore not contributing to Social Security.
Oh, I see. So then all of the people, then what you're actually saying is that there's hundreds of millions of dollars which are unaccounted for, which are going to illegal immigrants in the terms of service in the state that we can't even account for because they can't even be tracked through Social Security.
No, I accounted for that when I talked about the money that they're paying into local taxes through things like sales tax, property tax if you're a renter.
What does that have to do with Social Security, though?
It doesn't have anything to do with Social Security.
Yeah, so we're just talking about Social Security. So if it is the case then that you wanted to have a Social Security,
what can I ask you then? Maybe I misunderstood your question.
Yeah.
Where's this floating money then? What are you talking about?
That's actually what my question is about. I'm asking you specifically if it is the case that you're saying that the reason that we need to give these people amnesty is so that we can issue them Social Security numbers and thus track their contributions. When I pointed out that doesn't make any sense, because then your economic argument, which is stating that the government should have all this free money that they then don't have to spend back on these immigrants, is negated. You said, no, it's not actually, because there's millions of more dollars that they would be collecting if they gave other immigrants who don't do that
a Social Security number, and then they would pay into Social Security, and then our receipts for Social Security would go way up.
Then that would be an entailment then that right now there's millions upon millions of laborers who outnumber the amount of laborers who are spending into the Social Security system, who are getting goods and services and aren't.
Well, nobody that's illegal is getting goods and services from Social Security.
That's not what I said. I didn't say from Social Security, but
So now we're not just, well, you just told me we were only talking about Social Security. So
I
thought that's what you were
am,
talking.
but
Oh, okay.
but you mischaracterized my argument. So my argument would just be simply, if there's millions more who aren't paying in than are, I don't understand why you're using that as some kind of ideal of, well, this is actually a good thing because they're paying millions of dollars to the
Hold on real quick. I just heard this dude, like I think I heard him like typing things up right now. All these people that have been debating Andrew, they have to be typing away as they're debating. Don't again, these are these people that feel so strongly about all the things that they preach and everything, but they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Like this dude is chat GPTing or Googling as he's debating. Like, dude, like this dude did it. That Chuck girl did it. Freaking, I've seen Radical Coder do it. Like all these people, they're chat GPTing in real time. If you don't know this stuff, then why the fuck are you debating this shit? Like, why do you feel so strongly about it if you don't even know what the hell you're talking about and you have to chat GPT during the debate?
federal government.
Yeah, if you
when there's millions
increase
more who aren't.
Yeah, if you increase the amount of people paying into Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, it diversifies the amount of people. It means that there's more people paying in, which means there's less taken out per capita because we have more people paying in.
I see.
It's a good thing.
And can you answer me a question? Do we spend more money per year on Social Security than we take in?
Social Security, we are not allowed to spend more money on Social Security than we take in. However, the government regularly borrows from it, and so we pay interest on Social Security.
So
where
we're
the
paying
government
more?
has stolen from it. Yeah, and I'm against that too.
So to get this right, what your plan's actually, the entailment of your plan is that you would give millions more people Social Security numbers who then the government would borrow against, and we would actually increase our debt because we spend more money per year on Social Security than we get out of Social Security. So, but hang on, by your metric, then, if that's the case, and you just agreed that it was, then I would say that that would be a negative, and negative outcomes are to be avoided when we can, because that's bad and immoral.
I actually didn't agree to any of that. Just because there's more money in Social Security doesn't mean that the government will borrow from it. The government has a spending problem.
Okay, can you tell me the last year the government didn't borrow from Social Security? Can you tell me the last year the government didn't borrow from Social Security?
Let me just finish my statement before you freak the fuck
Go
out.
ahead,
Andrew.
RTP.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, the government doesn't have to steal from Social Security. They don't have to.
But do
in
they?
fact, I think
Oh, that's a good defense. They don't have to steal from it, but they do. But they don't have to, but they do. That's worse.
that we should actively work on electing people who promise not to steal from Social Security.
Yeah, can you tell me how much can you give me the last Democrat administration who didn't borrow from Social Security?
Probably not. I'm not a Democrat though.
Yeah. Can you give me
the I hate it. I hate it when these lefties, they deny like what they are. Like, oh, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not, people brought up David Pacman earlier. David Pacman's in the one, oh yeah, but I'm not a Democrat. And it's like, oh, shut the hell up, dude. Shut the hell up. You're not a Democrat or you're just Trump deranged. That's it. You're one of these never Trumper Republicans or something. But dude, come on. Taylor Lorenz on the Piers Morgan show too was like, I'm not a liberal though. I'm not a lib. It's like, oh, God, just can't these people ever just be honest?
Last Democrat or even Republican that didn't borrow from Social Security?
I don't think anybody in my lifetime hasn't borrowed from Social Security.
So then would it stand to reason then that the trend would continue, that the government would continue to borrow money from Social Security and then accrue interest on that, thus actually creating more in the way of debt, meaning that they're paying out more than they're taking in because they've accrued this additional debt?
No, because they're not taking the debt. The Social Security is not the debt. The reason that the government takes from Social Security is because it's somebody who will lend to them. Maybe if we were a little more strict on Social Security, they couldn't lend from Social Security. But I've seen no evidence that any amount of budgeting is ever going to stop our federal government from overspending. I don't think this is a very good argument. I don't think it's a good argument.
Well,
to say if more people pay into Social Security,
fair.
Therefore the government will spend more money. I think that's pretty fucking loose.
Okay, then all you got to do is show me the instance or the year in which the government was not taking in the Social Security payments from all of the benefactors and then borrowing against it, thus creating debt. And
I think you're
if you
drawing.
could, I would love
I think
for
you're
you to do
drawing a
that.
correlation without a causation there. I don't think that you
Hmm.
could say that our net receipts for Social Security is why the government goes into more debt. I think you'd have a really hard time proving that
Then why don't they put it in a lockbox?
because they didn't listen to Al Gore. I don't know.
Why don't they?
Because they don't want to. They want to keep borrowing from it
Why?
because it's money that comes in every year.
So,
So
they
you said-
wanted. So hang on.
Yeah.
So to get this right, the government wants to borrow all this Social Security money that comes in every year, which accrues debt, meaning that they're actually spending more money than they're paying, or I'm sorry, than they're getting. Right? They're spending more money than they're getting from Social Security by borrowing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
but they're
So
going to
then-
spend it. They're going to spend it anyway.
Hang on, I just want to point this. I just want to point out. Well, they won't spend it if it's not there, right?
Yes,
They'd
they
have
will.
to
They
borrow
will
from
just-
somewhere else.
Yeah, they'll just sell more They'll sell more treasury bonds.
Yeah. So under your
And they'll sell it to billionaires,
so
and then we'll
under
pay interest
your-
to billionaires instead
So-
of to
my
Social
So
Security.
then under this
evil
economic
billionaires.
plan, it actually makes no sense because what you're saying is that all you would do is accrue more Social Security numbers for the government to accrue more debt from as they borrow against it.
No, I think
Okay,
that's
tell
I
me
think
how
that's
that doesn't
so
work.
fucking loose.
Tell
'Cause
me
I
how it
think it's
doesn't work
loose.
that way.
I don't think there's any evidence that says if the government started taking in less Social Security that they would borrow less money. They would just borrow it from somebody else.
I'm sorry. Hang on. So you're just saying that they would move to borrowing elsewhere, right?
Yes,
Then,
they will
then
sell
that
treasury
particular
bonds.
source,
They'll sell treasury bonds.
and that's bad, right?
What do you mean that's bad?
Well, according to this is not to be desired or approved of. Yeah.
What's not? Selling
The
treasury
fact-
bonds?
No, the fact that they would borrow from some other device other than Social Security,
What?
dude.
Bro,
Oh yeah, no, I I totally agree, Swamp. Like this dude, I was looking forward to him debating Andrew Wilson because he did another debate with this other dude, and this dude was just unbearable. So when it was announced he was gonna debate Andrew, I got super excited because I just want to see this dude get wrecked.
I don't
Bro,
know how to
what?
make this any clearer.
Are you saying now I'm saying that the borrowing is bad? Is that where we're at now? I'm at my claim.
Well,
is
you
now
said that
evolved
borrowing from Social
mass
Security is
deportations
bad.
do more harm than good. No, you said that. You brought that up.
Borrowing from you. Well, then why would you want it in a lockbox?
You brought up the lockbox. That
And
was
you said we should do it.
No, you said why don't they? And I said they don't listen to Al Gore.
Okay, so then they should borrow from Social Security?
No, I don't think they should borrow at all. But that's just economically. I don't think that's like sometimes you need to borrow money. Like when we go to war, sometimes we have to borrow money. Sometimes we need to borrow money. We don't always have to borrow money.
Okay, got it. So do you think we shouldn't borrow money?
No, sometimes we should, sometimes we shouldn't.
Okay, so do you think that we should be borrowing money from Social Security?
Only if we absolutely have to.
Okay, so then we should avoid it because after all, that would create a negative outcome, and we
Sure.
should avoid those when we can, right?
Sure, and if you increase the action that I have a problem with is them
Mhm.
borrowing from Social Security. You're basically, this argument could be used to say we should no longer collect taxes at all. We should no longer be able to borrow money at all. And maybe that's your position, which I don't know if you're libertarian. Is that your position that you can't borrow money at all?
I didn't say that.
No, I'm just wondering.
No.
I mean, I would be far more comfortable with that, but I'm not. That doesn't mean that I should abandon an immigration position because it gives the government access to more
I'm
money.
not saying you should abandon the immigration position, but you should abandon the immigration position that the government's going to intake far more money based on the fact that if we issue people Social Security numbers, people will pay into Social Security because, and here's why you should abandon that
I never
position.
made that. That wasn't my claim. Yeah,
Well,
again,
okay,
I
then
don't
why
think- I
should
don't-
we? Why
I don't
should we
think you
give all
listened to-
these
I
illegal
don't think you
immigrants?
listened- I
Then
don't think you
why?
listened to
Okay,
anything
then
I
why
said
should we
in
give
my
all
opening
of these?
statement.
Then why should we give all these illegal immigrants Social Security numbers again?
Because it makes the most fiscal sense.
Why?
Do I got to read the opening statement again?
Because they
One,
pay in,
They
right?
they pay in.
Mhm.
Two, if they are here legally, they're more likely to report things like crime. They invest into the schools locally.
Yeah, but let's just start with
they
Social
create-
Security.
Yeah, but
Okay.
what? Yeah,
So
exactly.
on Social
fiscally.
Security, you want
Yeah.
them to pay in on Social Security, right?
Sure,
And you want them to get the benefits of Social Security back out.
sure.
But if it's the case that when the government borrows from Social Security and they're giving them these outward payouts after we give them Social Security numbers, the government's going more into debt. This would go into your rule that would be a negative outcome, and we should avoid those when we can.
I think that borrowing is not as much of a negative outcome against Social Security.
Okay, why?
Because it's money that gets paid back.
So wait a second, at interest?
But this dude just said that he was like, well, we should only do it if it's absolutely necessary. Okay, so then does this fall into when it's absolutely necessary? Like, obviously, I'm going to disagree with that. I don't think it's absolutely necessary that we need to give these illegals social security numbers, and therefore, like, obviously not. But that's the question I would follow up with. It's like, so is this one of those situations that's absolutely necessary that to borrow from Social Security?
Yeah, at interest.
Okay, then that would be a negative outcome, which should be avoided because it deliberately hurts the economy. That's your metric for bad.
But not all negative outcomes are the same.
Then we're back to your definition of bad. Deliberately hurting the economy, according to you, is bad.
We can no longer decide what. Oh yeah, so just all things are bad or good, and that's
according to you.
The whole fucking thing.
According to you,
yeah, he's the one making the claim.
I'm giving you the discussion.
Sensible thing to do.
Yes,
that's what I want to do, and I think the problem that we have.
So you said
I'm trying to tell you
your definition of bad. Jesus. I'm gonna. This is why we could have cleared up the semantics, but you're so fucking stupid. Now you're gonna be at the mercy of them. Deliberately hurting the economy.
The definition of bad. All fucking day.
Yeah. Sorry. You can be as mad as you want, bro, but it's not going to make you win. Yes, it should be avoided, you say. Yes, when it will have a negative outcome. Negative outcomes should be avoided when we can. You say that it's not.
Nice. So this is where he pulls out the notes, the things that he written down, and this is where he throws it back in his face.
Why can't you avoid it?
Because I don't run Congress.
Okay, well then I guess
he has to change
I guess we can't give the legal social security numbers then because you don't run Congress.
No, I can't.
No, I didn't say you. I said we.
Yeah, you and I cannot do
okay,
that.
Great.
Correct.
So then legals will never get social security numbers because we don't run Congress. What a great argument.
Because you guys are afraid of brown people. I think that's mostly what it is.
See, this is what fucking pissed me off about this dude. He makes it, he obviously he's going to try to bring it about racism. It's just because you hate brown people. And it's like, this is why this dude irritates the hell out of me. They always got to make it about the race. Like, it's just because you don't want them brown people here.
Okay, I'm willing to dive into that argument as well. What have I said tonight that said that I was afraid of brown people? And what do Republicans do that makes them afraid of brown people?
I said, you guys, in reference, it just seems like you're afraid of brown.
Oh, it just seems like it's just my feelings. I just feel like it.
Oh, it seems like that, does it?
It does.
Oh, yeah. Can you justify those seemings with something more tangible?
Yeah, I said it in my opening statement. I said that I feel like you guys are you're unwilling to engage about policy and about prescriptions.
That's what we're engaging in.
And it seems, and I just said, I'm kind of left when you won't engage in anything that I said, other than let's define good and bad. And you don't want to debate, you don't want to engage in this debate. And I know like what your principles are. I've heard you debate before. Like you want your view to rule. You like the force principle. You think that your tiny minority of people should be like the ruling class, and people should rule that think like you. And I don't know why you have a problem with this. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Explain to me why you want all these people deported if economically it's going to hurt us.
So here,
again, doing something that's going to economically hurt us. It's not always bad. Again, if we were just hiring, let's say we had a bunch of child slave labor or something, or just slave labor in general, and then all of a sudden we're like, yeah, this shit's wrong. We're not going to do it no more. And then that hurt us. We weren't making as much money. You wouldn't argue, well, that's morally bad. You would be like, yeah, we're making less money, but it's probably good that we didn't have slave labor, or in this case with these illegals, cheap labor. That's pretty much all these Democrats. They always, even though this guy's supposedly not a Democrat, but they always argue for this shit. They argued for slavery, and now they're arguing for my cheap Mexican labor. And that's all they always defend him on. They always like, who's going to pick our crops? Who's going to clean our toilets? Who's going to do this? It's like, dude, you guys, the party switch it's like, how can you say it's a myth when it's like you guys are arguing for the exact same shit as back then?
Here's the thing. I'm willing to give you the social arguments for why I think that this would be good versus bad. I'm happy to do that. But I would like a concession from you first, that when I bring up by your own definitions what these things mean, and we could have easily just, if you would have just been a modicum good faith and we could have got the definitions out of the way, we could have got into the more of the meat like we were doing right then with Social Security.
Or we could just do that.
Yeah. So, but we were just doing that with Social Security, and cried foul and said, when I applied it to your definition of bad, that wasn't fair.
I didn't say that.
Okay, well then why can't I apply it to your definition of bad?
No, what I said is, it seems like you're setting up a scenario where things are either good or bad.
Yeah.
And you can't, yeah. And I think that sometimes things are bad and you deal with it. Sometimes bad things happen and you just kind of
also said that they
and I think that sometimes what we get stuck with in these debates is we never talk about any sort of solution, because we're so goddamn serious about proving like our worldview and proving that the other person's worldview is somehow flawed. So we never actually get to discuss what I'm here to discuss, which is what's the most sensible way to deal with the fact that we've got a lot of illegal immigrants here, and there seems to be a divide in this country on how to handle it.
Okay, we can move right into that then next. I'll even humor you on this. I just want to point out as you say this.
Yeah, I don't think the divide is as big as you think it is. I mean, Donald Trump won in 2024. I don't think it's as divided as you think it is. I think there's just a very loud minority of idiots like you that are just throwing big fits and big temper tantrums. And that's what this is. I think most people, I mean, I forgot. I think I heard the recent polling say majority is still for this. I think it might get brought up, but I don't know. But yeah, regardless, I mean, again, a bunch of people aren't allowed. A bunch of people are in here where they're not supposed to be. In no other in no other situation do we just allow people that sneak in just to stay there. Like, we don't do that. We kick them out. So it's a very simple principle. It's very simple. You're not somewhere you're supposed to be. You got to get out. So why is it all of a sudden for illegal immigrants do we have to be like, oh, well, you know, they're just here to make a better life. They're just here for this or that. And then even if we were to concede and be like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Well, then why even have an illegal, why do we even have an immigration system? If these other people that are trying to come here legally, if they see that we're just going to give these people social security numbers and amnesty, well, what's going to motivate anybody to come in here the right way? Why even bother having a system? Let's just let everyone in. Just open the borders right up.
That you said that negative outcomes should be avoided when we can, and then said there's things you just can't do anything about, which are bad. However, I just gave you an example of a negative outcome which could be avoided. You just said it's not possible because you're not in charge.
Real quick, sorry. This person right here, this donator for the debate, Andrew, are you the only online debater not on drugs? Almost all of them are sped out or stoned. They literally can't follow the flow of the topics. Adderall at the very least, and it shows in their outrageous demeanor. I mean, yeah, that's probably true. I mean, the left, they do rely on a lot of drugs, especially for their anxiety or all this shit. They're all on something nowadays. You know, they see a freaking psychologist or something, or a psychiatrist or something, and they get prescribed something. You know, they have anxiety, they got some kind of mental thing going on, and they're all on medication. So honestly, I'm not saying this dude is on drugs, but I wouldn't surprise me, because a lot of these libs that Andrew debates, or just in general, they're always got something going on. And then when we try to prescribe them something that will bring true happiness, eating better, or going to the gym, or doing some actual work, giving yourself some motivation, starting a family, raising a family, that stuff, they all spurg out about it. And I'm like, guys, don't you think that would actually maybe bring you some actual happiness, so you don't have to be all drugged up all the time?
Of Congress. I think that's fucking idiotic, but I'm happy to move on to the next point of this, which is, well,
yeah, that's a good point too, Swamp. Of course, people come here for a better life. If we let the whole world in, then it wouldn't be a better life. Yeah, exactly. You know, there's a reason being selective is better and not just letting everyone in. The most sensible way, mass deportations, 70% approval. Yeah, I know. And then when the left brings up, is this what you voted for? And it's yeah, that is exactly what I voted for. Yeah, that's a good point too, Ortis. 1865, who will pick our cotton? 2025, who will pick our vegetables? Yep, exactly the same. They always say the party switch is a myth, but it's like, dude, how can you say that? You're arguing for the same damn thing as before.
What can we do about this, right? What can we do that's the most sensible? Well, okay, here's what we can do that's the most sensible. We can mobilize National Guard, put them on the border with orders to shoot to kill, and we can deport every immigrant who's here. That would not only save us a small fortune in the cost of drugs coming across the border, human trafficking costs, what we have to deal with the Department of Justice and all of these fronts. Simply do not have
to back that
people
up?
who are here.
any
Yes.
numbers on
In
that?
fact, I'm going to give you one of the most comprehensive studies. 1 second, which will point out the human trafficking epidemic, which comes with open borders.
I'm not supporting open borders. What are we debating here?
Well,
we're debating mass deportations. I don't support open borders.
Yeah, mass deportations. Now, how is it that these people get here?
Most of them on visa overstays.
Not from south of the border, right?
Certainly. It's like 90% of people that are here on almost everybody that we're picking up that's at work. They've been here for 15, 20 years. And most
from
of
visas?
them you can come here on vacation and you can just stay. Most people don't sneak across the border. Most people come across legally and stay.
Okay, so then it sounds like one possible way and solution that we can do to handle this is make sure that if you
imagine if I were to try to go to some other country on vacation or something, right? You know, I'm just gonna, let's say I go to Europe for some reason, right? And then I vacation, then I decide I'm just gonna stay. Do you think they'll just let me stay? Do you think they're like, he's just looking for a better life here? No, they would kick my ass out. How come it's like everyone else is allowed to all these other countries are allowed to have these standards, but we can't?
You don't leave on your visa, that we have a system in place to come collect you quickly, then bar you from the nation for life.
I agree with that. I think we should do that.
Okay, yeah, I agree. So then as far as the solution comes, what we should do is bar you from life. You overstay on a visa. We have a system in place to come collect you very quickly if you do overstay on the visa. What's your objection to us deploying the United States military to the border to make sure that there's no illegal border crossings there with drugs?
I don't have an
objection
to that. I have no objection to that.
Okay, so then it sounds like the best thing that we can possibly do is remove the illegal immigrants who are here, and also
that's where we disagree. That's the part we disagree on.
Okay, so let's just say for a second that I was willing to have a compromise with you. Every illegal immigrant who's here will grant them amnesty and give them all a social security number. However, we are also going to deploy the United States military to the border. They're not going to allow any more illegal crossings. They'll have literal orders that these are invaders, right? And
good hearing from you, Swamps. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good night too. By the way, check out Swamp's channel, his YouTube channel. It's just, you see his logo right here. You see his name. Search him out on YouTube. He has like a great channel. Seriously, love Swamp's channel.
To repel them as an invasionary force, and that anybody who comes in and overstays their visa is banned for life, and that we have a new federal agency which goes and collects them as quickly as fucking possible to remove them. Would you agree to that compromise?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well then what are we arguing here?
The mass deportations of the people that are here, the millions of people that are here already. The cost alone to deport these people is near $1 trillion. And
so
when I'm looking at these people that they're going and that they're rounding up, these people are doing no harm. These are people who are their only crime, like 75% of the people from LA that they have rounded up, 75% of them have committed exactly one crime. That crime is being here illegally.
Yeah,
so
what?
I think that the cost of doing that doesn't make any fucking sense, especially when we have this will permanently close some businesses. This will devastate local economies, and it will take a very long time to get back into those local economies and rebuild them. It's not like you remove them and all these job seekers come in and fill those jobs. Economically, it makes no sense. We're going to lose a bunch of tax revenue, and it's going to cost us like $1 trillion, plus all the things that you want to do as far as securing our
that we want to do.
We want to do, sure, yeah. everything that we would do to secure our southern border, it's going to be incredibly expensive. I see no return on that investment. It makes absolutely fiscally no sense to remove people willing to work who are causing harm to nobody. Let them stay.
Do you agree with me that you should speak the language of the nation if you want? You don't agree with that?
You maybe finish it. Maybe there was was there a qualifier at the end of that? I interrupted.
I don't even think we need to go any further than that. Then, if you don't think that you should speak the language of the nation before we give you amnesty?
No, but I do think that you're going to be disadvantaged.
Yeah, but who else is disadvantaged by that?
By not people not speaking the language. I don't know. Maybe somebody who thinks they should get the job just because they speak English.
Well, how about hospitals? How about schools? How about places like this where people don't speak the language, and so additional resources need to be allocated to them so that they do speak the language?
I don't know that they're disadvantaged. I don't know that that's being disadvantaged, right?
Well, wouldn't that be a disadvantage to our native-born people to have to outsource this into now special categorizations just to get these people up and running with basic words in English?
So no, I don't see how that disadvantages anybody.
So you don't think that school spending additional cash and resources with ELS is disadvantageous to the native-born people there who could be collecting those resources?
Well, I think we're going to be collecting those we're going to be.
And what's funny is that this guy, his whole thing was, oh yeah, what makes it bad is it's the math. It's less money in our pockets. Oh, okay. Well, won't spending more money on hiring, tutors or whatever, the resources that teach these people English? Oh, you don't think that's bad then, Mr. Oh, it's bad because it's less cash in our pockets. It's less money.
Collecting new taxes anyways. I think maybe if local
now schools that's assessed by property taxes.
I've seen proposals where people part of like the amnesty is that they have a remittance fee. Maybe it's a 1% tax. I'm actually okay with that too. If there are local costs that are going to be applied to the local economy, I think local communities should be able to assess that tax.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the ELS thing. How could it be possible that your property tax assessment, which is going towards schools along with generous federal grants, which are going to schools, how is it possible that they'll be spending less resources by not hiring ELS specific educators to train English first language to these other people instead of utilizing those resources on the locality of the natives who are there, who are paying through their local property taxes for the education of their children?
I didn't say they wouldn't pay more tax. I said nobody would be disadvantaged.
How would that not be disadvantageous to the people paying more taxes?
Because, like I just said, you're adding people into the pool of taxpayers, and if you want to pass that cost,
not property tax,
and
property tax.
They pay property tax all the time. And
they only pay property tax if they own property. Can you tell me how many of these people own property?
Tenants. I just said as tenants.
Oh, as tenants they pay property. No, as tenants they don't pay property
they
tax.
Indirectly
they pay rent.
They
they don't indirectly pay it. No,
yes, they do.
No, it's directly assessed from the owner.
Listen, I don't know.
Yes, I'm a landholder. Yes, that's correct.
I don't know a single landlord that doesn't factor in property taxes when they charge rent.
Okay, so wait a second. So who's paying the property tax?
I said indirectly. Indirectly, they're paying property taxes.
So then they're not paying property taxes.
Well, the landlord isn't being disadvantaged. He's already paying that money into the community.
No, the landlord may not have as high a property tax assessment if they didn't have to spend more on localized school for things like language assessment, right?
Yeah, taxes go up to pay for education. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, so taxes. So what you're saying here then is that the net drain from people who don't even speak the language of the nation, there's going to be a net drain on landholders because their property,
I just said they could pay a 1% tax.
Their property taxes would necessarily go up. Even if you had a 1% remittance fee, can you show me the math on how that would offset the local property taxes?
I said a 1% tax or a remittance fee.
But the remittances are assuming that these monies are going to go back to Mexico, right?
What?
The remittances are assuming that this money is going to go elsewhere to a different nation?
No, I don't know if it assumes that.
Then how do you get remittances?
Maybe I'm using the word remittances incorrectly.
I think you are.
I might be. Am I using
how do you get a remittance?
Oh, never mind. Yeah, I am using the word.
Yes, you're using the word wrong.
Sorry.
It's semantics, those fucking semantics.
Yeah, what I meant is they'll pay a penalty.
A penalty?
Yeah, for being here illegally when they, as part of their citizenship.
So they get
pay a
an
penalty.
increase of 1% in their taxes.
or a one-time lump.
Which
fee,
kind
however you
of
wanna do it.
taxes?
I think you would have to probably
Assess the income tax.
No, I think you would have to. I think that you would have to pay 1% tax base. Yeah, I guess on the income tax. Yeah, sure.
It would just be on the income. So that again doesn't solve our issue with property holders and their taxes going up, does it?
Why not?
Well, because property holders paying a property tax on top of their income tax.
They're already paying that tax that goes into schools.
Yes, but the problem that you have here is that they would be paying less of that tax, which goes to schools, if they weren't having more of their resources allocated to non-English speaking students.
I don't think necessarily the taxes would go up.
Okay, can you demonstrate it?
Yeah, they're already paying for these, like the children that are in school. The property taxes are already paying for them. So why would it go up?
Do you understand that if it is the case that you have 30 people in a community and your taxes are assessed for that via property taxes, and there's some sort of levy which is passed, what would be on the ballot would be for those 30 people, those 30 families, and they would give an assessment based on that. If it is the case that now you increase the amount of, let's say, non-English speaking children who are
We're not increasing that number. Why would we increase that number?
So you're saying that right now these non-English speaking students are going to these schools?
Yes. And I factored
great.
that into my numbers earlier.
Well, that's perfect. So then
the
if we got rid,
so if they're paying taxes,
so if we got rid,
wouldn't that mean that the landowners or the landlords that some of that would be offset? Potentially some of these people who are here illegally could purchase properties and they could pay property tax.
So wait, so what you're saying is, to get this right, that right this second, property owners are subsidizing illegal children so that they can learn the language of the nation. And do you think that that's okay because they're already paying it? So if you just gave these students somehow a social security number rather than deporting them, that somehow is going to decrease property taxes?
No, it changes nothing.
I see.
It stays exactly the same.
No, it would necessarily, if you deported them, go down, right? Because now there's less students there to support.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, then,
Maybe.
so then,
Are you gonna pay
yes.
teachers less?
so I just want to make sure
Wait,
that
why
I
would
got
it go
this
down?
right.
Wait, why would it go down necessarily?
Because you're paid inside of schools by the seats. That's how you're paid. So you have X. Why do you think they take roll call in a school? Johnny here. That's dollars, right? Timmy here. That's dollars. They're paid by the number of students who are in seats. So by your argument of saying, again, bad, deliberately hurting economy, and that should be avoided, and when it will have a negative outcome. Negative outcomes are to be avoided when we can. This sounds like a negative outcome, which we can quickly avoid by simply deporting non-English speaking students along with their parents if they're here illegally. Yeah.
I don't think that outweighs the other economic benefits of keeping them here.
Oh, the other economic benefits.
Yeah.
So what economic
That's
benefits?
why I said, like, you want to do this about principles, but I'm just looking at in totality. I've already factored these numbers in. I did that in my opening statement. I already said that the cities that are a net negative when it comes to immigration, most of that comes from educating these children already. That's already factored into my numbers.
So it's already a negative, and can we avoid that negative?
Yeah, but then we lose out on revenue, and then that negative becomes larger.
And if I grant this, that there are cases in which this revenue is going to be saved by the taxpayer, especially the property holder, even if I were to grant that in some ways we may lose some revenue from a second-class citizenry that you want to keep here desperately, would you say that when you're talking about social issues,
make them second class? What do you mean by that?
They are second class, yeah.
I know. What do you mean by that? I'm not trying to be offended.
They're completely disenfranchised from the nation.
Not trying to be offended. I think you are. I mean, they are second-class citizens. They're not telling them, oh, I treat them like shit or something. This is probably where this guy's going. But you're naturally second-class citizens if they have less rights than the people that are citizens here. Because naturally, you do have less rights if you're not legally allowed to be here. That's one of the things. That's one of the things that it's not just harmful to American citizens, it's also harmful to them as well.
And used only for the exploitative labor of massive farms, usually.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway, so back to this though, would you say that there's social offsets when we look at the totality of the good of the nation, that you need to look at both economic and social ramifications inside of the nation for any policy which you pass?
I think that's I think it could be important. Sure.
Yeah. So when you factor in the GDP, if I grant the GDP, can you tell me what the positive social ramifications are?
Of amnesty.
Yes.
Yeah, I think more social cohesion.
How?
I think that specifically here in, like, I live in a border state. One of the problems we have, especially in neighborhoods that get overrun by gangs, is that you have a bunch of people unwilling to call the police, unwilling to report crimes because either they or somebody they love's status is in jeopardy, or even now there's people who don't want to because they think that even if they do have legal status, they may be deported. I don't know if you know much about the history of
So I
Arizona.
just want to make sure I got this right, and tell me if my steel man's incorrect. It makes sense to me logically. If you're here illegally, you don't want to call and report a crime because then your own status could be in question, and then you
Sure.
could get shipped out of the very country you're in, right?
Mhm.
So, of course, it would create more positive social cohesion if we just granted the citizenship, and then therefore those people wouldn't mind reporting the said crimes, right?
Sure, in some cases.
Yeah. Isn't that also the case if we deported them? If we deported those people, wouldn't it also be the case that we would have a net income or a net increase to social cohesion? We also would be eliminating this problem of people who aren't citizens reporting crimes. Yeah.
No, I think that's dumbing it down to a single issue.
I'm going one
Dumbing it
issue at a
down to
time. We're just talking
yeah.
about this one.
So,
So
okay, so let me make sure. Let me steelman this. You're saying that if it 1-to-1, if we deport
Man.
these people, that also could increase social cohesion?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so if this is the case, then when I ask you for why this would create more social cohesion, that actually wasn't an answer on that, because if we deported them, that would create just as much. Actually, it may create more social cohesion, because if they're not there to have to report that they're the victims of crimes, we don't ever have to worry about them to begin with, as far as the social fabric of society goes, right?
Sure. But I think you leave out the people that are going to be feel like their society betrayed them or their government betrayed them for deporting these people. I agree that there are maybe people, I don't know what your thoughts are, but there's people probably like Steve and I debated who would be very happy to see everybody that
Sure.
looks different in his neighborhood deported.
But I would
However,
just negate this to the contrary.
there are also people in that neighborhood who that would cause less social cohesion.
Yeah.
I think
Well, yeah, only for idiots like you, dude. Only for the freaking libtards would not be happy about that. You're the only ones throwing these big fits and tantrums over it. Even the people who are like not like leftist psychos, who are like, yeah, you know what? I just thought it was gonna be the hardened criminal, like the real hard criminals. I didn't think it was just gonna be, you know, little Guadalupe here just working her corn stand with her 5 kids. I didn't think she was gonna get deported too. Like, even those people aren't like throwing as big of fits as you guys. Like, in the end of the day, you know, some people might feel bad for little Guadalupe and such, but at the end of the day, they're gonna move on. They're not, they're not gonna throw as big fits. Only you guys, you wackos, are the ones throwing fits on this. So what I'm saying is deport you too. I'm kidding, but I'm not. But I am. But I'm kind of not. But anyway, for social cohesion, if it wasn't for the Democrats brainwashing you people, telling you this is actually a horrible thing, when again, every single president has deported people, and the only reason why Donald Trump is being harsher now, even though I wouldn't even say he's being harsher, I mean, I'm pretty sure there was a time there was a lot of people, like a lot more people getting falsely deported, like people who actually were citizens here getting deported. That's not even happening under Trump, at least not to a massive scale where it's a concern. Maybe like 1 or 2 people here and there, but it was like fixed right away. So he's not even doing it that harshly. But the reason why you guys feel like he's doing it harshly, because you guys feel like this is worse, is because you're being told that it's worse. And you're being told that Orange Man bad and Donald Trump evil, Donald Trump, you know, Hitler 2.0, Donald Trump a bigot, evil, racist, horrible, horrible, horrible. That's the only reason why you guys are throwing these huge fits and these tantrums. But you guys didn't throw tantrums when Biden deported people. You didn't throw tantrums when Obama deported people. You didn't throw any of these tantrums back then. The only thing that's changed now is it's Trump, and you guys have all been brainwashed into having Trump derangement syndrome. So when you want to talk about social cohesion, the only people that are not joining in on the social cohesion is you guys, because you guys are wackos. That's about it. Everyone else, we're on board for this. Majority of people voted for this. This is what we voted for. We want these deportations. Legals should not be here. They don't belong here. That's it. Bottom line. We are not the world's safe space. Not everyone's entitled to come here. And even if we were to give these people amnesty, then again, what's going to motivate anyone else to come here legally? What's going to motivate anyone else to come here legally? If they could just sneak in, if they could just sneak on in, well, why come in here the right way if they could just sneak on in and be given amnesty? You know, all they got to do is just sneak on in, vote Democrat, because the Democrats are going to give them amnesty or allow them to be here. And then that's it. That's all they got to do. So why should we encourage that? Andrew Wilson did a good job here. I'm glad that this dude totally got put in his place, because he is just insufferable. Can't stand this dude. Typical libtardedry right here. But what did you guys think about this? Sound off in the comment section below. Smash that like button if you liked it. And if you really liked it, please subscribe to my channel. I got more Andrew Wilson stuff, and I got more Raging Tomato debates. By the way, please subscribe to the Raging Tomato as well. Let's help her out. She has a great channel. She's got many great debates. So please, please, please subscribe to her channel as well. Let's help her out, guys. See you guys later.